Hi everyone, it's Holly Making, and we are back with Not a Dream, the final draft. We're on chapter 19. We're making our way pretty fast through the book. We're well over halfway. But yeah, so let's just jump in and get started and see what happens next. Chapter 19, A Narrow Escape. Helen, wake up. Helen moaned, not realizing she had fallen asleep on the windowsill. Monica was shaking her awake. We have to go. It's not safe here. What's going on? Helen asked sleepily, and she was quickly pulled onto someone's back. Let's get going then, John said. He was the one carrying her. I don't understand why there's a mob, Ellen said angrily. She could sleep all day if no one woke her. The reason is because the prophecy is getting close to being solved, nitwit, Ron snapped. You must make haste. We will be right behind you. That does not. So, in one hand he starts being grumpy, and then he's like, you must make haste. It's time to get moving. I'll be right behind you. Monica put her hand on her brother's shoulder. Be careful, you two. Those people look really angry. Do not fret. I will just misdirect them. I almost said disrespect them. Ron said with a smile, the first that anyone in the group had seen. Let's move, Monica ordered, leading everyone else to the back door of the house. We only use this door in emergencies. She quickly pushed on the old door. It whined as it opened. The tunnel that opened up was black and looked as though it would eat you alive if you walked through it. The group went with Reggie and Monica first, Andrew and Ellen second. She had wrapped her arm around his to make sure he wouldn't leave her. Shall we? John asked. Shall we? John asked Helen, who nodded. I can walk, Helen told him. Her ankle was only hurting a tiny bit that morning. Not if we have to move fast. Besides, I know that one of the other guys might be able to carry you if I get tired, John said to her reassuringly. Before Helen could protest any further, he knew that it bothered her that she needed to be carried, but he wasn't going to risk her safety in order for her to feel better about herself. Reading is not my forte today. Do not count on it. Ron spoke from behind them, shoving his way around them. Helen rested her forehead on the back of John's head. That scared me, she whispered, feeling her heart beat faster. Really? You hardly moved, John said to her with a chuckle. I had a lot of practice, she told him, still whispering. I feel so tired. Can I please walk? Will it help? John asked her uncertainly. I don't know, but I just want to walk for a few minutes. Helen was lowered to the cave floor so that she could limp alongside John. The two kept good pace behind the rest of the group. The tunnel was so dark it seemed they were walking for hours. Fortunately, they stopped to eat for an hour or so. That hits the spot, Monica said, happily drinking the water. Thank you for all your help, Helen said to Ron and Monica. Do not mention it, Ron said before he took a bite of the sandwich. I'm sorry that you lost your home, Helen said to him. Oh, pish-posh. They were bound to start a riot anywhere you went. I thought it was quite thrilling, Monica said happily. Why did they attack us now? Helen asked, remembering that there hadn't been such problems before, except for when you met John. Hello. You can either bring chaos to us, or you can bring peace. Many do not want to risk that. Many do not want to anger the big guy that did this to us, and everyone else just does not want to feel apart from the group. They fight now because you only have 4 more people to find, and they really do not like this. Ron explained it. Well, really? Only 4? It was the first time that Ellen had sounded excited the entire trip. Yes, Ellen, Helen said tiredly. Allison, can you please vacate my brain for a minute? You don't have to speak. I can hear your thoughts just fine, Allison said as she appeared beside the girl. Sorry, I just find the whole thinking my words strange, Helen explained. I'm gonna go for a walk to clear my head. Is that okay? Yeah, we're all still resting, as long as you can continue just fine on your own, Monica said with a smile. Monica's in charge now, because she has the next piece of the prophecy. I'll be fine. Helen limped off into the darkness of the cave, where no one could see her. What's wrong with her, Allison? John asked the spirit. Allison shrugged. My guess is she's not looking forward to going home. What's wrong with home? Ellen cut in. You would have to ask her that, Allison said, crossing her arms. She had finally gained Helen's trust. She wasn't about to mess that alone up again. Burke appeared next to Allison, putting a hand on her back. Fine, whatever, Ellen said huffily. I'm going home in less than a month anyway. Actually, it might end up being a little longer than a month, Allison said with pleasure. You never know how long it's going to take us to travel to the others. John, Ellen grabbed the man by the shirt. Go get Helen. We need to get moving right now. My. Never thought you were such a motivated person before, John said, obviously enjoying the woman's suffering. Uh-oh. Sorry. You know, as soon as I go get Helen, you'll have to walk the entire time we're moving. I don't care. The sooner we get started, the sooner we can get home, and I can be rid of you. Ellen was ready to leave, but everyone else was tired from being awoken so early in the night. They wanted to rest for a little while longer. Fine, she sighed, giving up on John. Ron, could you please take me to the next destination? Sorry. I will not go anywhere without Helen, and said with a shake of his head. Ugh, you are all useless. Ellen turned and stomped off in Helen's direction. Helen, I'm ready to go. Let's get a move on. Ellen had approached Helen as she was sitting at the edge of a small lake. She was staring out across its surface and watching as the moon fell through the ceiling. Why are you in such a hurry? Helen asked calmly. Because I want to go home, Ellen answered quickly. Unlike you, I actually love where I live. Oh, Helen looked down. How selfish of me. She stood, keeping some of her weight off of her bad ankle. Let's get a move on then. Thank you, Ellen said with a big sigh. She marched off to get the others up and going. Helen walked slower than she needed to. She now knew what the end of the prophecy was, and she didn't know how she felt about it. What do you mean it's time to go? John asked Ellen angrily as Helen approached. Look, Helen is here, and so we can go, Ellen said urgently. There was a moment of silence as John tried to get his never-changing mood swings under control. I think it's supposed to say ever and not never. And in this silence, there was an unnatural sound that was coming from behind them. The people who were sitting stood quickly, and they knew what it was immediately. The angry mob had figured out their escape route. At the moment, Reggie began to make noises as well. Everyone had forgotten that the phases of the moon had changed to show that it was a full moon that night. The old man began to change as the crowd began to get closer to them. Hurry, Helen, get on my shoulders, John said, already bent over and waiting as the others began to move as quickly as possible to the end of the cave. Helen quickly scrambled onto John's back, and the two moved painfully slow in the uneven tunnel. I can't see anything, can you? No, I can hear the water beside us though. Helen answered the man. I hope Reggie will be okay, she added with pure concern for the creature's well-being. I'm a little concerned about this area. I have no idea where the ground ends and the water begins, John confessed to her. Reggie will be fine. He might even slow down the villagers a little bit. There they are. Get them. A shout made John jump. He tried to move faster, but the rocks were so slippery. His feet kept slipping on them, and he had to right himself every time he slipped. Helen gripped his shoulders tightly, afraid that she would fall off of John and into the darkness around them. There were screams mixed in with the shouts of some of their pursuers were attacked by Reggie. John's foot slipped again, but instead of there being solid ground around it, there was nothing. So John stepped into nothingness, with no way to right himself and the extra body holding him down. John and Helen fell into the abyss beside them. Helen awoke on land, with the sun glaring down at her. At first, she didn't want to move. Her entire body hurt. She decided to figure out how she had gotten there to begin with. She remembered falling off the rocks with John in the cave. She could feel the exhaustion of the end of an adrenaline rush wearing off. Then she remembered landing in water that was probably why she was on land. She decided to open her eyes, and when she did, she realized she was on her stomach and that John was laying face up in front of her. She watched him breathe for a few minutes. He looked at peace in his sleep. It made Helen smile. She pushed herself up so she could look around and couldn't see anyone else around them. In fact, all she could see was forest around them. There was the tiniest place where they had washed up on the shore from which Helen's toes were dangling in. She then remembered to look at her ankle, which appeared bigger to her in the daylight. Helen looked over at John and knew she had to wake him. John, she remembered shaking him. A sudden shock went through her body, and Helen winced for it hurt. John stirred from his sleep as Helen ignored the pain and shook her friend again. Ah! Helen gasped. The pain seemed to shoot into her ankle and smolder there. She let go of John and grabbed her ankle. It had grown again. John woke up, sitting up as well, as if nothing had happened. Man, I feel great. He stretched and looked over to Helen, who was staring at her ankle with a pale look on her face. What's wrong? John, I think I have some strange sort of healing power. Helen answered him, not taking her eyes off her ankle. Ooh, mystery. I'm sorry that there's no camera this time. For some reason, the camera's not working, so you just had to hear my voice and watch the screen. So I apologize, you can't see my animated expressions while I'm reading. But yeah, anyway, so we are finally done with chapter 19, and we have moved on to chapter 20. The adventure takes a turn. We'll have to find out what's going on with Helen and her ankle next time. But in the meantime, I will put in the description below where you can buy this book if you are interested. It's really no big deal if you buy it or not. I just, publish it for the fun of it. But yeah, anyway, hopefully I will see you guys next time. Bye!